Do you want to make a positive difference for your community but not sure how? Throughout times of uncertainty, when individuals and families find themselves combating food insecurity and economic hardships, or when preparing the next generation of youth is more important than ever, one organization works to bridge the gap between the needs of our community and the hundreds of local support services. United Way of Fort Smith area has been serving the community for more than 90 years, partnering with local agencies to be a helping hand to those in need while working in the areas of health, education, financial stability, and crisis. United Way of Fort Smith area is asking for your donation to help be a difference maker. By donating, 100% of your donation goes toward helping the needs of our community. We need your help to create real change. Unexpected crisis can happen at any time, and without warning, we're all vulnerable to the devastating effects of what life may throw at us. That's why United Way of Fort Smith area supports more than 200,000 local individuals each year. Your donation is vital to the well-being of individuals and families all across the area to ensure the community has the resources it needs to thrive and create a more sustainable future for all. Having an impact on local lives starts with you.
Project Compassion provides so much for our seniors in just brightening their lives and making their experience in assisted living as best as they possibly can.
Project Compassion started in 1972 with our founder, who was Gloria White. She was an RN, and she found herself in a rehab as a patient. So she realized that she was the only one receiving visitors from her family. No one else had family. She would go up and down the halls, visit people, and she realized that this was a day-to-day occurrence. She made it her life's mission to change that. And she formed Project Compassion, and ever since then, we've been serving the residents of nursing homes, and we serve 26 now. Our main mission is one-to-one visiting, so we'll visit one-to-one this week and next week and the week after. They'll see the same person coming in as their friend.
There's one person particularly that I visit, and what I do is usually I'll call or text this person and we'll discuss different things. Depends on what kind of mood he's in on that particular day. Or he'll call and he'll say, "What are you cooking?" And I end up with brownies and egg rolls. It's what I took to this particular person on this day. And he was real happy with that. And the elderly basically have been pillars of the community, and once they're older, people tend to forget about them. And I thought, you know, this is my time to shine and work for the elderly people and do something for them. And they just would like to have someone come and say hello, you know, how are you? And to really care about them. So that's why I decided to work with Project Compassion.
We also have volunteers who do pet therapy or music therapy and targeted specific programs like that. So we're there day to day, and we're there for specific activities.
There's 7 women on the dance team. We get together once a week and dance for about an hour. And because some of us knew the executive director of Project Compassion, Marion Conrad, well, she got in touch with us and said, "Hey, how would you like me to send you out to some of the area nursing homes, rehab centers, assisted living, and retirement centers?" And we could perform for the residents. And we like that. We want to go out. We want to entertain people and help them. And it has turned into such a blessing for all of us, for the residents and for the 7 of us on the dance team. So do we have a good time doing this? That was a real fun time. We want to do it a lot more. Working through Project Compassion, I think, is a quality program that means a lot to the people.
So, like I said, the seniors are the majority of what we serve, but we have all ages. And then our volunteers are run the span from, our grandfriends are 5 to 17 years old. So we work with people from daycares to high school to fraternities and sororities and college. adults, corporations. We have a program called Right to a Resident, and all those are incorporated in everything we do with United Way. So everything that we do, our funding, 20% of our funding comes from United Way. We could not do what we do without United Way.
One of the greatest medicines that our seniors can have is joy and happiness from our volunteers, and our army of volunteers through Project Compassion truly changed lives. I can't say enough good things about Harbor House and what they do to help change people's lives, to get them focused on the future thinking. What could your life be without addiction?
Harbor House was started in 1966 as just the dream of a few businessmen in Fort Smith to have a place for mostly sufferers of alcoholism to have a place to get treatment. And they pooled their money and hired someone to kind of oversee it, and that was the beginning of Harbor House. In 2011, Harbor House merged with what was then Gateway, which was a women's facility, to become a comprehensive men's and women's treatment facility. Each will accommodate about 25 to 28 residents. We've been fortunate to be able to receive money from United Way that enable us to provide residential treatment to a small population that absolutely has no other way of obtaining treatment. They're not eligible for Arkansas state money, they don't have private insurance, and so the United Way is very helpful in that regard.
The Harbor House gave me a place here in Fort Smith that I could seek the help that I didn't know that I needed for probably a long time. I feared having to go someplace far off. I knew that I had an addiction. I knew that I had a problem drinking, and I needed to address that, and I needed to talk to somebody about it. And that's to the extent of it. That's all I really knew. The counselors there at Harbor House, they had the right words. I'm a man of many words, and it's nice sometimes to hear other people say them, certainly when they're coming to you. Being kind of in the media, I've had to work with the United Way, so I was pretty familiar with kind of what their model is and kind of how they do it. Until you are a patient or a client of an organization that is truly affected by the generosity of United Way, you don't really truly appreciate it until you've been there. That's how I feel. So kind of being in that realm and seeing what those funds actually do, what that money actually does firsthand is a pretty cool feeling. So the day I left Harbor House, I wrote a note to all 4 of the counselors that had a direct effect on me. I wrote them all the same exact note. It says, on this date, I want you to text this number and ask me how I'm doing with my sobriety. The date that's on that letter is the exact 1 year to the day that I will be 1 year sober. And I do fully expect to get 4 text messages that morning. So that's what I can still count on from Harbor House. I know they're there. I know they're there for me. I know they're there for many others like me. And that's a cool feeling. You know, you're not in this alone. We are truly all in this together. And having Harbor House in my corner, couldn't be happier.
I could be dead. I was addicted to heroin and methamphetamine, and I was pregnant. I had recently moved back here from San Francisco, California, and lost, hopeless. Thankfully, I was arrested and put in Sebastian County Drug Court, and Drug Court actually offered me to go to treatment. And so when I went into treatment, I didn't go willingly. I was kicking and screaming and in handcuffs, and it actually ended up being the best thing ever for me. Harbor House gave me skills that I needed to function. Not only did it help me, it was more than just staying clean off of heroin and methamphetamine. They taught me how to be a person, to be a citizen, to be loving and kind and nurturing. The counselors were phenomenal. They truly cared. Not just the counselor, but all the staff, the support staff, the cook, everyone. The clients that were in there with me, you know, we were all supporting one another, and on bad days, and there are definitely bad days in treatment, we had each other's back and support one another and remind each other that we could do it. And so with United Way dollars and with the help of the treatment center, I became a productive member of society, an employee. I've actually given my heart and soul and dedicated my life to Harbor House to give back. I've been there for 14 years and I couldn't imagine doing anything else. Today, life looks like just full of hope and all the bells and whistles. I really, truly would have shortchanged myself had I made a list when I first got clean of everything I wanted out of recovery. I'd have shortchanged myself. I didn't know that life was this good. God is amazing.
Treating addiction is very important to our community, to our society, to families. And at Harbor House we take a tremendous amount of professional pride in having people come through the program and have stories like we've heard today with Tabitha and Ram, who have their life back on track. They're raising wonderful children, they're contributing to society, so there is a fulfillment that comes from being a part of Harbor House, whether as employee or as CEO, that certainly has no monetary value, but it's unbelievably rewarding.
So United Way of Fort Smith Area's mission has always been to connect people and resources together. In March of 2020, we actually launched 211. This is a service so that if anybody's in need of whether it be food, shelter, healthcare needs, or veteran assistance, disaster relief, simply dial 211 to connect them to a live representative 24/7, holidays included, so 365 days a year. They're able to talk to a live representative at no cost. This is a free service and it's a part of United Way. So in May of 2021, we actually had a tornado that came through Sebastian and Crawford County, and it impacted over 400 homes. 24,000 individuals were without power. So we actually used 211 to establish feeding sites, to be able to get the messaging out about feeding sites and the local individuals that were impacted by that, to have a place to go to make sure that they had a hot meal for themselves and their family. In addition, we also had GPS mapping. So 211 provided mapping program to where if I called as a citizen that say I had a tree down on my house, I could say, hey, I live in Fort Smith, had a tree down. We actually put a pin on a map, and all of our volunteers throughout the counties that we teamed up with, whether it be emergency management, law enforcement, county officials, they were able to see that and immediately be able to respond. When you click on the pin, it would show the location, what the need was, their name. So it was just a vital resource. It's amazing to me how the technology that we have today can be utilized in such a good way.
United Way of Fort Smith, we're blessed that we have the endowment, meaning that 100% of everything that you give goes to programming. I remember many years ago at my first United Way campaign, it was actually with my first job in 1992. I was asked to go to a fair share meeting, and at the time, as a GA working in athletics, I didn't even think I made my fair share. But I went and I listened and I heard some very impactful stories from some individuals that had been benefited by United Way dollars, and it really inspired me. And it really pricked my heart. And it let me know from that moment on, just the smallest amount of money, even $1, $10, $20, it makes so much impact. And from that point in time, I became a donor to United Way. And now that I work for United Way, I see it in mass proportion. I see people that give of their time and their talents and their money, and how we're able to magnify those dollars. For example, many of our agencies take the dollars that are donated and use them for double, triple, and even 5 times match for the money on grants that they receive. So imagine you give $1, your company matches that $1, so that's $2, and one of our agencies takes it and then multiplies it to $4. So you can see the power that United Way of what we have in giving.
Hi, I'm Roger Holroyd, President of Arvest Bank, Fort Smith Region. There really are no words to describe the year we have been through since the 2020 campaign video was produced. It was a year of sorrow for too many families, a year of adapting to a new normal, and a year that changed our vocabularies, introducing us to words like pandemic, physical distancing, and Zoom. The past year was particularly challenging for the United Way of the Fort Smith area. Their fundraising model is highly relational and is based on telling the United Way story in dozens of plant and office visits. Not only did the pandemic prevent in-person visits to those facilities, but in many cases, the generous donors who worked there were on furlough. financially unable to continue their support of the United Way. At the same time, the agencies who depend on United Way's support for their operation were experiencing unprecedented demand for their services. Families impacted by the pandemic needed basic necessities such as food, medical care, and shelter. The pandemic created a true perfect storm scenario for the United Way. Thankfully, the worst of the pandemic seems to be behind us. Businesses are reopening, the unemployment rate is falling, and the economy is recovering. We now have the challenge of helping the United Way and its agencies recover their financial health. While Fort Smith gave generously during the 2020 campaign, the total amount raised was approximately 20% below the 2019 campaign total. That means partner agencies received over $335,000 less than they did in 2019. As in previous economic recoveries, the families most impacted will be the slowest to recover financially. Unfortunately, the strain on local United Way agencies will continue. As I reflect on the amazing stories in this video, I'm thankful to live in a community that compassionately provides for those in need. The work done by all of the agencies is truly in the spirit of the biblical admonition to care for the least of these. I'm also thankful to know that 100% of my donation will go directly to the agencies, since generous families have endowed the day-to-day operations and overhead of the United Way in Fort Smith. I ask you to consider the need in our region and to give abundantly this year.